Welcome, everyone. This is the daily AI news update that I do every day. That's daily. I keep saying I'm going to do this at 10:30 a.m. every day. And every day it comes out to be about 4:30, 4:20, somewhere in there. And here it is, 4:20, and I am finally getting started. Maybe I should just say I'm going to start this every day at 4:30. Of course, then is it going to be 6 hours later, and then I'm actually going to do it at 10:20? But anyway, yes, William, you hired me before I became famous and the ultimate AWS guru. Boston misses me. No, that's so nice. Thank you. Yeah, in fact, even though that whole thing with Yoda, I think they're still in business somehow. I don't understand how. But despite all that, when I first arrived, William gave me a ride to IKEA, or as the rest of the world outside of the US calls it, IKEA. Drove me to IKEA so I could buy some shelves, which actually I still have, even though this house is so much grander than what I had at the time. I still have those shelves. I still use them. They're actually in my daughter's room. So yeah, it's amazing to see you here. In fact, your name came up recently. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, so this is a daily look at the AI news. There are a number of other video streamers or video folks that do Imogen, thank you, Engelsman, that do a daily or a weekly look at the news of AI. But a lot of them tend to look at image generation tools as well as just other tools that you use in AI. And a lot of what I've covered so far, this is probably episode 8, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. A lot of mine have focused on the impact. What's the impact of AI on the world? I think that's a little bit more interesting. I mean, there's going to be new tools all the time. And some of the ones that really stand out, I've got one on that I'm going to talk about a little bit today. But generally, I want to focus on more of the impact on all of us. And another thing, one of the folks so there's a couple of Discords that you can follow if you're interested in Olamma and stuff that I'm doing. First off, there's the Olamma Discord. That's discord.gg/Olamma. Or I have my own Discord. There's not a whole lot that goes on there because often if you have a more in-depth question about Olamma, it's probably best to ask the Olamma Discord. And there's amazing experts there. But I also will, try to answer. And sometimes, so people have asked for a Discord, so there's a Discord. There's also Patreon, in case you want to. I don't expect that. If you want to, some people have asked, how can I, occasionally I get the tip on here. I don't know how that works. But then also they say, I wish I could give you money more regularly, which, I don't want to turn away money, but I definitely don't expect it. So, but then other people say, I don't like Patreon for some reason. Can you set up the memberships in YouTube? So that just got turned on today. Again, I don't expect it, but it's always lovely. There was something else. Oh, somebody in the Discord said, they are coming to Seattle for PAX West, which apparently is some gaming anime. I've only walked past different convention centers when PAX is going on and seeing all sorts of people dressed up as their favorite characters. It's a world I do not understand, but every now and then I've wanted to step inside to see what's going on there. And this person said, I'm coming there with my 3 or 4-year-old to take to this event. And it would be great to meet up. Okay. So somebody is trying to arrange a meetup. I don't know if it's just going to be me and this other person and his child, or if there's other people that are going to show up as well. So if you're in the Seattle area around the time of PAX West, which I think is not this weekend, but the next weekend, we're probably going to do something. If you go into the Seattle Convention Center, there's 2 main buildings. I can't remember what they're called. I used to know this because I was one of the organizers for DevOps Days Seattle, and we chose one or the other. But anyway, there's two buildings that it's in, and even before you have to show a badge, there's usually is usually some open spaces. And we'll probably just pick one of those open spaces because it's a place to gather and it's free. And we'll just talk there. Or if it's more than a few people, maybe we go to a restaurant and have a drink. I don't know. Or if it's, or maybe we have to go to a park. I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to show up to this thing. I don't make enough to buy a room or anything like that. So let's see. I think those were all those announcements. So let's talk a little bit about some new stuff. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I want to do my window. It's not this one. It's, which one is it? It's this one. Okay. Share. Okay. So this was pretty interesting. Chinese entities. So in the U.S., there are restrictions on what certain nations are able to buy. And so the U.S., I don't know, right now we're in a, anti-China everything kind of, that's the world we're in. So like TikTok is getting, where is that now? Is it actually banned or it's not banned for another year or whatever it is? And I think they've restricted access. They can't buy NVIDIA cards or other GPU, AI and HPC. They can't buy that stuff to any entities in China and other sanctioned countries. But those countries can kind of get around it by just using AWS and Azure and all those different services. So that's kind of interesting. The way that this article is written is like, oh my God, they're making it into more than it really is. Yes, they have access to it, but like this is the biggest one. It's about $28,000 worth over, a year, 2 years. I mean, that's not a huge bill for for A100, H100. It doesn't seem like. I mean, it's a lot of money. I wouldn't want to pay $28,000 personally if I had a AWS account. I mean, definitely there are individuals that have like managed their AWS accounts poorly, and all of a sudden they get a bill for a huge amount of money. But these are reasonable number. I mean, it's. I seem to remember at one point early on in Datadog's history, for some reason, I got the bill for AWS. I was on like a mailing list, and even way early on at Datadog, before we were anywhere near as big as, probably when the company was still 50 people, it was an order of magnitude greater than that. So it's a pretty tiny amount, but still, it's maybe something worth. I don't know if it's something to pay attention to. I don't know. I mean, then again, it's also, I don't know what Zhejiang Lab is, but a lot of these folks that are on here are different universities. Is that okay? I don't know. No, it's just interesting article. But apparently the U.S. is trying to ban access to, even cloud access to GPUs. So maybe that will happen at some point. I don't know which way the next president. I'm not sure what the difference, how they would think of this differently. Well, I have a feeling. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. Should we be polite to artificial intelligence? I don't know about it. So I am not polite. I mean, I'm not going to be like, hey, various expletives, answer me this question. Just because I think I talk to this the way I would talk to any person I already know. I mean, I'm not going to be nasty, but I'm not going to be polite. That's the example that I was thinking of when this came up was not artificial intelligence, but just about any sort of service, the automatic service that runs. My mother, who is 87, got a text message from her physical therapy place, physical therapist, yeah, and it said, you have an appointment, or there's an appointment available for next week at whatever day at whatever time. Do you want to have that do you want to have that appointment? And she responded with, yes, please. But she didn't get any response from that. Thought, okay, that's weird. Well, maybe it just automatically is accepted. Okay, great. And so she shows up a week later to her appointment, and they say, no, we don't have you on here. I said yes. I got a text message and I said yes, please. And there's the problem. And apparently this is very common, especially for this physical therapy office, for folks that are a little bit older, like my mother. And they will say please and thank you. And the service that, is an automatic service, and it's all stuff other than yes, not just yes or no. That's all it can accept. And anything else, it just ignores. And so it's not the same as this, but sort of. I mean, when I hear my mother talk to Alexa, or so the Amazon speaker, or to any of the other speakers, it's always please, thank you, oh, thank you. Like, no, just it's a certain, don't have to say these things. But it's interesting that what I thought was interesting, that younger generations are more likely to be polite when interacting with AI. More than half of Gen Z say this is their default. Now, Gen Z, I don't know what. Oh my God, this article is written for somebody who is way too young, because I would imagine that most people over a certain age have no idea what Z and X and or whatever other letters there are, what they actually mean. So I don't know what Gen Z is. I'm assuming that's younger than me, at my young age. How are we doing? I'm talking to LLM chat. Don't be lazy, think deeper. Or don't write, insert your code here, write the complete code for me. So regarding don't insert your code here, or don't write insert your code here, there's two variations I've seen that work really well. Just using no pros, I think it is. That sometimes works, but what works even better is to say, respond it or format the output as JSON, and then in the call to the generate or chat method in the API, use output as or format JSON. So that way and then specify a schema where the code is a block or a field in your JSON schema. And that way the model will always give you the code within the code part of the JSON blob. And that way, as a developer, you can just pull that out and have your process just either using JQ or some other way of extracting the JSON, just the part that you care about, pulling that out and displaying that. And that way you are sure to, especially with Olamma and JSON format or format JSON, you're guaranteed to get that, just the parts you want. And any other explanation, maybe have an explanation field, or just leave that out. And it will just spit out the code and not any of this extra fluff. That is far more reliable, but requires a little bit as a developer to build that interface that extracts that out of the JSON. The other alternative is in the prompt just saying no pros. I think pros is I'm saying PROSE, pros. I can't remember if pros is the the readable text or the code, whichever one is which. But that word seems to resonate with some of the models. I often start with hello out of habit with chat boxes. I find William, the great William, as I talked about earlier, I find myself asking Claude please all the time, but I appreciate that basically I'm micromanaging my colleague I call Claude. Yes. Let's move on to an article from the Financial Times. AI-powered coding pulls in almost $1 billion of funding to claim killer app status. So a lot of these different coding co-pilots kind of things have been getting a lot of money for funding, from different VCs, or angel investors or other investors. So far, about $433 million raised this year alone, bringing the total since 2023 to $906 million. So that includes Replit, Anysphere. I don't know of Anysphere. I've heard of the name Replit. Anysphere, Magic. I don't know them. Augment. Oh, that's is Ing? What's his name? Andrew Ng. Is that him? Anyway, Super Maven, which is a tool I liked and I use, and Poolside AI. And I feel like didn't Continue get something pretty recently? So there's a lot of money being thrown at these companies, which is interesting. Oh, Hannah Seal and Eric Schmidt have invested. Hannah Seal from Index Ventures, and then Eric Schmidt and others invested in Augment. Index I knew of. I dealt with a little bit just because I think they were involved with. They might have been involved with Olamma. I'm not sure, but definitely with Datadog before. I think they were one of the first investors in Datadog. But yeah, so interesting seeing how. I mean, some of this is obvious. When using this quote from Thomas Domke, who's the chief executive of GitHub, when using GPT-3, OpenAI's first major model, we figured out relatively quickly that it was so good at writing code that we could build a product around this. It didn't hurt that somebody else was already doing it, and they basically copied that idea. Well, or were inspired by somebody else that was doing it and built Copilot as well. It doesn't actually say, this article doesn't say anything about that other company. God, what's that company called? I mention it every now. Oh, Tab9, of course. In general, we see 20-35% productivity gains from enterprises who have reported internal statistics from Domke. Again, CEO of GitHub, or CEO? Yeah, CEO. So interesting article talking about, investment made in different code helping tools. Hey, Matt from Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan. Do we know? No. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next thing, which is an article from The New Yorker. And The New Yorker is great for, really long articles that you're going to sit and start reading in the morning and finish in the evening. Well, maybe that's just me. But talking about the origins of Transformer, not necessarily origins of linguistic AI, but the Transformer models. I mean, the language models have existed before that. I mean, that made things a whole lot better, but my understanding is that there was another paper in the 90s that introduced a lot of the ideas, and then Transformers kind of made it more applicable. But college intern named Aidan Gomez and Ashish Vaswani kind of built out this at Google, built out this idea and thought this is going to be huge. And where was it? I think it says. It's just interesting talking about. Oh yeah, so that intern, a college intern, Aidan Gomez, is now the CEO of Cohere. So I didn't realize that connection before. And he was in his late 20s, who is now in his late 20s. Now, he's this young kid, and he's CEO of Cohere. I saw him in a video pretty recently, and I thought, man, this young kid, he's head of Cohere? That's pretty big. It's pretty interesting. Kids. I called somebody a kid because he was like 20. On the Discord, he took offense. I'm like, you're a kid. I mean, this is good. I wish I was still a kid. You'll learn that too. Didn't like that. So anyway, it just talks about the history of Transformer and how did what's its impact on, how was it created and how did it get further. So looks like a pretty interesting article. I have not read it because I've only had it for a day and I just haven't done it yet, but I will. So last couple of days, we've seen a few things that different people have talked about, the AI bill in California. And whether it's, Pelosi said, this is terrible. OpenAI said, this is really bad. It's going to stop innovation. Anthropic, who's also in California, and who happens to be a competitor to OpenAI, said, yeah, it's got some sketchy things in there, but generally, it's not too bad, which is interesting. So his quote from Dario Amodei: in our assessment, the new SB 1047 is substantially improved because they did have to make some changes to get it a little further improved to the point where we believe its benefits likely outweigh its costs. However, we're not certain of this, and there are still some aspects of the bill which seem concerning or ambiguous to us, he said in a letter to Governor Gavin Newsom. Our initial concerns about the bill potentially hindering innovation due to the rapidly evolving nature of the field have been greatly reduced in this amended version. Because I think one of the changes that was made was that, folks building these large models had to submit some information to the Attorney General's office beforehand, and then the Attorney General could use that information to sue that model maker before any damage was anything was, based on, nothing had happened, and yet they could get into trouble. And I think now they have to, it actually has to do any damage before they can be stopped. So I don't know. I mean, the way I said that is like, oh, wait a second. maybe that was a good thing, being able to do that ahead of time. But I could see it'll be interesting to see what happens if there's any other changes that happen to this bill before it actually gets passed. Megalopolis. There's this. Allow ads. Continue without. No, sure, I'll allow ads. Oh. Okay, so there's this video or this trailer for a movie called Megalopolis, and actually, I seem to remember watching the trailer. And it seemed to be interesting. I can't remember anything about it. Of course, this isn't talking about the movie. It's talking about the trailer, because I did see another video that was looking at the trailer. And apparently, it's got all these quotes by about the director's previous movies, and it's got apparently these people have said these things. Except all those people said, "I never said that." And you look through all their reviews, and nobody actually said the things that are being said in this trailer. So it was weird. And apparently the marketing, they're blaming it. Lionsgate is blaming it on the marketing consultant, and they're naming him Eddie Egan, the marketing consultant who came up with the trailer. They included those fake quotes, so they're saying, you're no longer working with us. It's convenient that there's one person to blame, but yeah. So he's getting blamed, and he's out. But it was, actually, when I looked at the trailer, I mean, I remember seeing the quotes. They didn't really I was like, okay, just move on from the quotes and get to the good stuff. And so I didn't really pay much attention. But then again, my name wasn't on the trailer. And I'm sure if my name was on the trailer, I would probably be looking at it and think, I didn't say that. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know who this Baja, apparently it's Christian Baja has created a website, and Baja Breaking News. I don't know who this guy is. No, is he anything? Who is he? He covers a lot of stuff. I'd never heard of him. But anyway, doesn't mean much. I haven't heard a lot of people. I haven't heard of probably 16 of the people watching me right now. Oh, 14. But anyway, he's got this article talking about former CEO of Character AI is now co-technical lead on Gemini. So interesting. Just interesting new person working on it. I don't know. Maybe I found more interesting in who's the company, who's this Coho. No, what was it? Baja. I said Coho. Andrew Ng steps back at Landing AI. I feel like I know Landing AI. I feel like I might have used Landing AI for a demo or whatever. I feel like it was called something else, and I might have used it for a demo somewhere. But he's leaving that company. I guess he's got his hands in a lot of stuff. He started or was one of the folks that started Coursera. Was at Baidu and bunch of other things. He's isn't he still professor at Stanford? Anyway, he does a lot of stuff, and he's no longer as tied to this. I think he's still chairman of the board, but that's it. And then AI arms race, Palladium governance futurism. What is this? What are these folks about? San Francisco-based nonpartisan publication that explores future of governance and society through international journalism, long form. And it looks like an interesting. I mean, there's a few. I flipped through some articles. It looks pretty interesting, but now I can't go backwards. There we go. AI arms race isn't inevitable. So there's been some discussion about China versus U.S. Is this like an arms race? And basically, the gist of the article is that often when people have written about this or talked about this, they discuss it as if things are a little bit more advanced than they really are, and this is potentially there's potential in this, something bad happening from this, but maybe a better way to go about this is for people to work together. I don't know, maybe a little bit. It'd be nice if we could all just get along, but I don't see it happening. But anyway, interesting thing to flip through or skim through or maybe even read. It looks like it's pretty well written article. Looks pretty interesting. And then the last thing I want to cover, how long have we been going on? We've been going on for about 32 minutes, if give or take. How are we doing on? Oh my goodness, I missed some comments. 16 smart people. Well, yes, and now we're down to 14. We lost 2 smart people. So happy I finally made a live one. Hello from Tokyo. Oh, I love Tokyo. I've only been, I go once or twice. I feel like I've only been once when I was still at OpenText. Did I go once with Datadog? I might have gone with Datadog. Oh no, I just changed planes in the airport, and I had a shower because I went on JAL to Tokyo and then down to Sydney. Yes. But I went another time with when I was at OpenText, and I did a class at some big bank there. They had a really tall building looking out over the city. Oh, it was gorgeous. Really cool. Well, welcome, Kevin, from Tokyo. He's not talking about you, William. No, I was, yeah. Never any talk about a P-spot. All right, so I got one last thing to talk about while we're here. And that is a cool tool that I was just told about. So there's this tool called N8N. Now, I've been a fan of N8N for a while. In fact, if you look at, let's see, N8N Terraform. Let's see, is that all I need? Yeah. So I have a Terraform script that I wrote 3 years ago on installing N8N to AWS EC2. I've enjoyed this. This was back when I was working at Datadog. I put this thing together because I was actually using it for some stuff at work. But what's interesting is just 2 days ago, they announced this self-hosted AI starter kit. And just so it's, I did a video about Defy, which is a really neat way of like using these building blocks to build out applications. And with Defy, it gave a kind of a UI front end, but you could also use that as just the back end. And N8N, I don't think there's any UI tools that they provide yet. It's been a while since I last looked at this, but they're mostly focused on purely building that back end. And what's I thought there was a video in here. There is. Okay. So I have no audio here, so I'll mute it so it doesn't look like we're supposed to be seeing anything. But as we go through here, look at that. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, there's building blocks. You can attach different tools to it, different models. Looks like they might have some sort of UI in there, but I definitely want to play a lot more with this. And what they're actually releasing, this AI starter kit, is one Docker Compose environment that installs Olamma and N8N and who are they using for the Qdrant? I think is included in this Docker setup. So looks pretty cool. They also have a hosted version, N8N Cloud, but this is mostly just talking about the self-hosted version. And if folks are interested in seeing more content about, and I would love to do this. So I might do some N8N content in the future. In the near future, because I think every now and then I do videos about more technical concepts, and sometimes it's useful to show in code. So I'll write a TypeScript program. I occasionally do Python. I prefer TypeScript, and so I'll do some code for that. But sometimes the person is either whichever language I pick is the wrong language, or they just want to get the concepts without getting into detail. It's super technical details. And I'm wondering if I'll be able to use something like N8N to show these concepts without, because it's a little bit lower level than Defy. So it could be an interesting way of showing lots of interesting concepts. So we'll see if I can do some of those videos in the future. It's a great but miserably hot city. It's hot. I guess I was there at a time when it was not hot. It was quite cool. I feel like it was cool. Maybe I remember it wrong. Just recently we had somebody staying at our house, one of my wife's relatives, and I think she was working for the U.S. military at the time, but she happened to be based in Japan right at the time of the Fukushima, and experiencing that as while living there, and was able to get out pretty quickly, but yeah, it was interesting hearing some. I think she was working for U.S. government. But anyway, let's see. Let's stop my stream. Let's see. Oh, one other interesting factoid. If you are not familiar with, I think most people who have watched any stream know that I live in this place called Bainbridge Island. Bainbridge Island is an island. Well, let's see where I live. Now, basically, there's this island off the coast of Seattle. You go to downtown Seattle, and you can take a ferry. There's 2 ferries from downtown to that are run by the state. One goes to Bainbridge Island, the other one goes to Bremerton, which is where the big naval base is, where like the Nimitz and lots of other things are based. And so I live on Bainbridge, and there's a store there called Bay Hay and Feed. So you probably see that, Bay Hay and Feed. It says Rolling Bay. That's actually the area that I live in. And they have these shirts and jackets that all have like this grid of this one. Hi. How are you? Yeah, I'm on a stream. You got shoes? You like them? Yeah, purple sneakers. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Jade. Okay, I'll be done soon. So, Bay Hay and Feed. So they have these grids of things. And so you'll get, this one happens to be horses. A lot of horses here on the island. But there's also tractors, because you go to this place and you get your feed for your cattle and your llamas or whatever else you have on your farm. Or they got farm stuff there too. Because there's a whole bunch of farms. This was historically, a lot of farming was done here on Bainbridge. In fact, when Queen Elizabeth visited Victoria for her meals, the strawberries were brought from Bainbridge Island up to Queen Victoria. They're really great strawberries. Kate, come on. But you'll have all sorts of things. There's like huskies, because there's University of Washington's here, and they do it in different colors. Really? Are you making enough noise? And so the different colors, really great. So anytime you see somebody in these shirts, it's referred to as Bainbridge camouflage, because everybody on the island has one, and you will just blend in if you're wearing one. Fun facts. Fun, useless facts. Okay, so it looks like we've covered all the news items that I wanted to cover. Let's see. The last few things that I always like to do, I do like to do, is, are there any new releases to Olamma? Looks like there's still, so there was a release a week ago, and then 0.3.7 is still in pre-release, so that could all change. But it looks like there's some improvement in performance for pull and push, and some other stuff. One thing that's not listed on here is the error that will pop up when you, maybe that's improved for performance for pull. No, it's a pull related thing. If you pull any model, even if you have the model, it will complain after it's done that there's a file with a unrecognized character or something like that. And sometimes it's a curly brace, sometimes it's some other weird thing. And that is because it's often because if you're on a Mac, the DS store file is there that's got stuff in it. Basically, there was an update pretty recently by one of the newer devs, and it was allowed to look at files that were not a model file, not one of the blobs. It was looking at other files as well. And so it saw that and says, well, I don't know what this file is, and just spat out an error, rather than just ignoring any file that's not the two. I think it's just two formats. There's three formats. So there's the blob that is the GGUF model file. There is the other blobs that are just text files. I think they're just JSON or YAML. It's either JSON or YAML. And then there's the manifest, which describes everything in a model. And that is it YAML or JSON? I don't know. It's one of the two. And so it should just look for those files, and anything that's not one of those files, just ignore. And so that's going to be fixed in the next release. I'm told it's already there. It just needs to be merged in. And then the other thing could be interesting is, are there any new models? So if I do a search by newest, updating, sort by newest. Why is it not doing anything? Let's try that again. Featured, most popular, not doing anything. Let's refresh my page. Okay, slow connection, I guess. I don't know what's going on here. Taking a while to refresh my browser. Okay, let's pretend that's not happening. Let's go to the other thing that's sometimes interesting to look at is, are there any new and trending GitHub repos? So trending repos. Now I guess I can share this while I'm doing this. Share screen. And we're going to share a window. We'll take a look at that one. So Zed. Zed's kind of in the news because Zed just added is it Anthropic as their main AI model. So they've added AI to the editor, and I think they're using Anthropic for that. Quiver, so maybe not the Quiver you're thinking of. There's a Quiver that's a programmer's editor, or programmer's, yeah, like a place to store your interesting bits of code in different languages, kind of like a code runner, or there's a number of other like programmer notebooks that make it easy to store your shortcuts or your bits of code and snippets, as well as explanation on what they do, and make it easy to, like with a keyboard shortcut, to paste it into your code. Maybe that's less relevant these days, but Quiver looks like it's a RAG framework. So interesting. It's at 35,000 stars. That's pretty big. How many is Olamma at? We go to, oh, this updated. Can we just look at newest now? Okay. So newest model is still 535, which was updated 2 days ago. And small LLM. I haven't played around with that. But, oh, I was going to look at where is Olamma on the GitHub stars thing. Oh, it's 86,000 stars. That's amazing. 86,000 stars. And then GitHub downloads stats. How many times has it been downloaded? Release stats for Olamma / Olamma. So total downloads is about 11.5 million, though that is across all the versions rather than any one version. And if we look at the last, wow, 0.3.6 has been downloaded about 1.1 million times. That's amazing. 1.1 million, but 3.5 was only downloaded 100,000. 3.4, 600,000. Okay, so a million could be the number. That's pretty amazing that it's up at that amount. Any other GitHub trending AI related tools? I don't see anything. This is cool. Python packager, which tries to make Python a little more usable, but not relevant here. 5.3 cookbook. We're getting started with 5.3. Interesting. One-click base swap. That's got to be an AI thing, I would imagine. What else have we got? Bruno, again, not AI related, but I think this is, yeah, alternative to Postman. I've seen a few interesting videos about Bruno. Don't talk about Bruno. Sorry, for a long time, my daughter was really into whatever that song is from, some Disney movie about a house that kind of lives, and it's a great songs in it, but yeah. Multi-image visual language model. Interesting. With training, inference, and evaluation recipe. Deployable from cloud to edge, Jetson, Orin, and laptops. Interesting. And I don't see anything else that's, Haystack, LM orchestration framework to build, what's this? DeepSet AI. Production ready open source AI framework. Production is where it gets real. Sure. Let's go back to the GitHub repo. Do I have to use hosted models? Who uses it? Well, anyway, it looks interesting. And that's all I got for you. Anybody else have any comments? No comments. You're just amazed at how awesome my voice is. Well, 12 people are still here. That's amazing. What else you got for me? If you don't say anything, I'm going to have to show you dogs. Okay, here we go, Jade. It's your turn. It's your turn. There she is. Say something. Okay, you're fired. Okay, well, thanks a lot, everyone, for being here. I had a lot of fun covering the news of the day. See you tomorrow, Saturday. Should I do one of these on Saturday? I did one last Saturday. Maybe I should. We'll see if I can do it in like 30 minutes. So I'm going to go away. We all know this is a hard part for me. Saying goodbye. It's always hard. I don't know how to do it. Okay. I'm warning you. I'm leaving. Okay. Bye. 12 people. No. Bye. Find that button. I press stop and it's still going. It says stopping. Am I still showing up? Live streaming. Okay, it stopped. Or is it still going? Stop. I think I stopped. Stay in studio. Stopping. I can't seem to stop.